Dr. Helen Martinez pressed her face against the cold glass of the observation deck and watched the alien ships arrive. The massive vessels moved through space like dark clouds blocking out the stars. Each ship was bigger than any building on Earth, and there were hundreds of them. She had been studying aliens for 20 years, but the sight still made her stomach turn with fear. Commander Jake Sullivan walked up behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. His uniform was wrinkled and his eyes were red from lack of sleep. He had been awake for 3 days straight ever since the alien message came through, the message that changed everything. "They want an answer in 6 hours," Jake said quietly. His voice was tired but steady. Helen could hear the weight of responsibility in every word. As commander of Gateway Prime, he was responsible for the safety of everyone on the station. Gateway Prime was humanity's most important outpost, built right next to the massive alien gateway that connected Earth to the rest of the galaxy. Helen nodded but did not turn away from the window. She watched as more alien ships emerged from the gateway. The gateway itself was a huge ring of strange metal that floated in space near Jupiter. It had appeared 50 years ago without warning and changed human history forever. Through that ring came the first aliens humanity had ever met. They called themselves the Galactic Confederation. At first, the aliens seemed friendly. They shared some technology and knowledge with Earth. They taught humans about other worlds and other species. But as the years passed, the aliens became more demanding. They wanted Earth to follow their rules and their laws. They wanted humans to give up their independence and become just another member of their confederation. The communication room behind them buzzed with activity. Technicians worked frantically at their computers trying to understand the alien fleet movements. Nobody had expected this many ships. The Confederation had sent the largest fleet in human history to deliver their final message. "Dr. Martinez, please. Report to Communication Center 1, came a voice over the station speakers. Helen sighed and left the window. She knew what was waiting for her. Another conversation with Ambassador Zexithara, the alien who had been pressuring Earth for months. The communication center was full of people. President Linda Torres appeared on the main screen from Earth. Her face looked older than Helen remembered. The stress of dealing with the aliens had aged everyone in government. Secretary of Defense Ryan Brooks stood next to her looking grim. Behind them, Helen could see other officials she recognized from news broadcasts. "Dr. Martinez, thank you for joining us," President Torres said. "We need your expertise for this conversation." A second screen activated, and the image of Ambassador Zexithara appeared. The alien looked like a giant insect standing upright on 2 legs. Its forearms moved constantly while it spoke, and its large compound eyes reflected the light in strange ways. Helen had talked to Zexithara many times, but still found the alien disturbing to look at. "Humans of Earth," Zexithara began in its mechanical translated voice. "The Galactic Confederation has been patient with your species. We have given you time to understand your place in galactic society. That time has ended." President Torres leaned forward. "Ambassador, we have told you many times that Earth values its independence. We are willing to work with the Confederation as equal partners, but we will not surrender our sovereignty." The alien made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "Equal partners? You speak as if your species has any value beyond the technology you have developed. Your quantum computing systems are useful to us. Nothing else about your world interests the Confederation." Helen felt anger rise in her chest. The aliens had always been condescending, but Zexithara was being more direct than usual. She looked at the alien on the screen and spoke before anyone could stop her. "If our technology is so valuable, then perhaps you should be asking us nicely instead of making threats." Zexithara turned its attention to her. "Dr. Martinez, your reputation precedes you. You have studied our biology for many years. Then you should understand that the Confederation does not ask. We take what we need for the greater good of galactic civilization." Secretary Brooks stepped forward. "What exactly are you demanding?" "Complete surrender of all quantum computing technology. Complete integration of Earth government into Confederation authority. Complete compliance with all galactic protocols and regulations. You have 72 hours to agree, or we will take corrective measures." The room fell silent. Helen looked around at the faces of the humans in the communication center and on the screens from Earth. Everyone understood what corrective measures meant. The alien fleet outside was not here for negotiation. President Torres took a deep breath. And if we refuse, then your species will serve as an example to other worlds that consider defying Confederation authority. Your planet will be cleansed, and more compliant species will be given your world to inhabit. The communication ended abruptly. The screens went black, and the room remained silent for a long moment. Helen felt her heart beating fast in her chest. She had always known this. Day might come, but hearing the words spoken aloud made it real. Commander Sullivan was the first to speak. How many ships do they have out there? Agent Katie Walsh, who had been monitoring alien communications, looked up from her computer. Current count is 437 vessels. More are arriving every hour. Intelligence suggests they have ships from at least 12 different alien species. Weapons analysis, President Torres asked. Ryan Brooks pulled up data on his tablet. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a major city. The largest vessels could probably glass entire continents. If they attack, there will be nothing left of human civilization. Dr. Alex Cooper, who ran the Gateway Research Division, had been quiet during the conversation. Now he stood up and cleared his throat. President Torres, there is something you need to know about the Gateway. Something we discovered last week. All eyes turned to him. Helen knew Alex well and could tell he was nervous about whatever he was going to say. His hands shook slightly as he activated a holographic display showing the gateway structure. The gateway is not just a passage between worlds. It is also a two-way energy conduit. More importantly, we have discovered that Earth side of the gateway contains the primary control matrix. The aliens never told us this because they assumed we were too primitive to understand the technology. President Torres stared at the display. What does that mean exactly? It means that Earth controls the gateway, not them. They need our permission to use it, but they never realized we had the power to deny them access. The room erupted in excited conversation. Helen felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. If humans controlled the gateway, then maybe they had options nobody had considered. But her hope was short-lived when Agent Walsh spoke up again. We are receiving new communications from the alien fleet. They are moving into attack formation. Through the windows of Gateway Prime, everyone could see the alien ships spreading out across space. Their weapons were powering up, and their formation suggested they were preparing for bombardment rather than invasion. President Torres looked tired as she addressed the room. Ladies and gentlemen, it appears we have 72 hours to decide the fate of humanity. We need options, and we need them fast. Dr. Helen Martinez ran through the corridors of Gateway Prime toward the research laboratories. The station shook slightly as more alien ships passed through the gateway. Each new arrival made the structure vibrate with strange energy. She could feel the fear of everyone around her as they prepared for what might be humanity's final hours. The laboratory levels were deep underground, built into the asteroid that Gateway Prime was constructed on. Dr. Carl Jensen was waiting for her when the elevator doors opened. His lab coat was stained with coffee and his hair stuck up in all directions. Carl had been working without sleep for 3 days straight. "Helen, thank God you are here," Carl said as he led her toward his workstation. "We have found something incredible about the gateway material, something that changes everything." The laboratory was full of equipment that most people would not recognize. Machines that could look at individual atoms, computers that could simulate the behavior of exotic matter. Samples of the gateway's strange metal sat in containment fields, glowing with soft blue light. "Show me what you found," Helen said. Carl activated a holographic display that showed the molecular structure of the gateway material. The image rotated slowly, showing patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The gateway is not made of any normal matter. It exists in multiple dimensions at the same time. But here is the important part. The control systems respond to neural patterns. Helen stared at the display. What kind of neural patterns? Human neural patterns specifically. The gateway technology interfaces directly with human brain activity in ways that alien minds cannot access. Their technology can operate the gateway, but they cannot truly control it. Engineer Lisa Parker entered the laboratory carrying a tablet full of data. Lisa had been studying the gateway's energy system since the first day it appeared. Her technical knowledge was better than anyone else on Gateway Prime. "Carl is right," Lisa said, as she joined them at the workstation. "We have been running tests on the gateway's network connections. The gateway is not just a bridge between 2 points in space. It is a hub that connects to thousands of other gateways across the galaxy." She activated another display that showed a map of connection points. Lines of light stretched across space, connecting dots that represented other gateways. The network was vast beyond anything humans had imagined. "The Confederation controls maybe 5% of this network," Lisa continued. "They use our gateway as their primary hub because it has the most connections. But they never realized that the control systems require human neural input to access the full network." Helen felt excitement building in her chest. If this was true, then humanity had power the aliens never suspected. "Are you saying that humans can control the entire gateway network?" Carl nodded. "Not just control it. We can modify it, expand it, even shut down parts of it. The aliens have been using technology they do not fully understand, and treating us like primitives while we hold the keys to their entire transportation system." Admiral Kevin Hayes entered the laboratory, followed by Colonel Maria Santos. Both officers looked tired and stressed, but they moved with the quick efficiency of people preparing for war. Helen knew they had been coordinating Earth's defense preparations. "Dr. Martinez, we need answers," Admiral Hayes said without introduction. "Our defensive capabilities are limited. We have good ships, but nothing that can match their firepower. If you have found something that can help, we need to know immediately." Helen looked at Carl and Lisa. Both nodded encouragingly. "Admiral, we believe that humans have natural access to gateway control systems that aliens cannot use. The technology responds to human neural patterns in ways it does not respond to alien minds." Colonel Santos pulled up tactical displays on her tablet. "What does that mean for our defensive situation?" "It means we might be able to control their access to the gateway," Lisa said. "If we can prevent them from bringing more ships through, we can limit their forces to what is already here." The colonel looked hopeful for the first time since the crisis began, but Admiral Hayes remained cautious. "What about the ships that are already here? Can Gateway Control help us deal with them?" Lisa hesitated before answering. "Possibly. The Gateway generates massive amounts of energy. If we could redirect that energy, we might be able to create defensive fields or even weapon systems." Intelligence Officer Danny Walsh burst into the laboratory carrying a portable communication device. His face was pale and his hands shook as he set up the equipment. "Dr. Martinez, Admiral Hayes, you need to hear this. I have been monitoring Confederation communications, and what I found changes everything." He activated the device, and alien voices filled the room. The translation system worked quickly to convert their speech into English. Helen listened carefully as the aliens discussed their plans for Earth. "The human advancement rate exceeds all projections," one alien voice said. "In 50 of their years, they have achieved technological development that most species require centuries to accomplish. Their quantum computing systems are not simply advanced," another voice replied. "They represent a fundamental breakthrough that threatens Confederation technological superiority. The Council has classified humans as a Class 5 threat," a third voice added. "No species has ever been elevated to Class 5 status without being immediately eliminated." Danny stopped the recording and looked around the room. "There is more, much more. The Confederation is not just afraid of our technology, they are afraid of us." Admiral Hayes leaned forward. "Explain." "Every species that has ever joined the Confederation did so because they had no choice. The Confederation conquered them or absorbed them, but none ever developed technology that the Confederation could not understand or control. Humans are the first species to create something that the Confederation both needs and fears." Helen felt pieces of the puzzle clicking together in her mind. "They want our quantum computing technology, but they cannot recreate it themselves exactly," Danny said. "And worse, from their perspective, our technology is advancing faster than they can study it. Every year we develop new capabilities that They cannot match. Dr. Alex Cooper entered the laboratory at that moment, carrying data modules from the Gateway Research Division. His team had been analyzing the Gateway's quantum systems since the alien ultimatum was delivered. "I heard voices and thought you might be discussing the Gateway," Alex said as he joined the group. "My team has made a discovery that you need to know about." He connected his data modules to the laboratory systems, and new displays appeared showing energy flow patterns through the Gateway. The patterns were incredibly complex, with streams of power flowing in directions that seemed to defy normal physics. "The Gateway draws power from quantum fluctuations in space-time itself," Alex explained. "But the amount of energy it processes is far beyond what is needed for simple transportation. Most of that energy is being stored in dimensional buffers." Lisa looked at the data with growing excitement. "How much energy are we talking about?" "Enough to power human civilization for thousands of years. But here is the interesting part. The energy storage system can be redirected. We could use that power for defensive purposes or even offensive ones." Colonel Santos stepped closer to the displays. "You are talking about turning the Gateway into a weapon." "Not exactly a weapon," Alex said carefully. "But the energy could be used to create barriers that would stop incoming attacks. Or it could be channeled to overload alien ship systems. The possibilities are limited only by our understanding of the technology." Helen looked around the laboratory at all the data they had gathered. Human neural compatibility with gateway systems, control over the galactic transportation network, access to massive energy reserves. The Confederation thought they were dealing with primitive humans, but they had seriously underestimated their opponents. Admiral Hayes was already thinking tactically. "If we can control gateway access and redirect energy for defense, then we might actually have a chance in this fight." "There is one more thing," Danny said quietly. "The Confederation communications mentioned something called the Containment Protocol. If humans are classified as a Class 5 threat, then Containment Protocol goes into effect automatically." "What does that mean?" Helen asked. Danny looked around the room before answering. "It means they are not planning to invade Earth. They are planning to sterilize it. Every man, woman, and child will be killed, and the planet will be given to a more cooperative species." The laboratory fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Helen felt cold fear settle in her stomach. The aliens were not interested in conquest or negotiation. They wanted genocide, but she also felt something else: anger. The Confederation had underestimated humanity for 50 years. They had treated humans like children while humans developed technology that scared them. Now they planned to commit genocide because they could not control what they had helped create. "How long do we have?" she asked. Admiral Hayes checked his communication device. 68 hours until their deadline expires, but intelligence suggests they may not wait that long." Helen looked at the data displays showing the Gateway's vast power and potential. Humanity had been preparing for this moment without realizing it. Every advancement in quantum computing had been building toward this confrontation. President Linda Torres sat in the emergency conference room deep beneath the White House. The room had been built to survive nuclear war, but she wondered if it could survive what was coming from space. Around the table sat the most important people in human government and military leadership. Each face showed the strain of the impossible decision they faced. General Mike Taylor spread tactical displays across the table, showing Earth's defensive capabilities. His weathered face was grim as he pointed to various positions around the planet. "We have 47 defensive platforms in orbit. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a city, but against 400 alien ships they will not last long." Secretary of Defense Ryan Brooks pulled up additional data on his tablet. "Our newest ships are fast and well-armed, but we have only 30 of them ready for combat. Intelligence suggests each alien vessel outguns our best ships by a factor of 10. "What about ground-based defenses?" asked Vice President Frank Wilson. "Planetary eye. Defense networks can stop some orbital bombardment," General Taylor replied. "But if they target major population centers simultaneously, our defenses will be overwhelmed within hours." President Torres rubbed her temples, trying to ease the headache that had been building for days. "General, what are our chances if we fight?" "Against the current alien fleet, perhaps 20%. But Dr. Martinez reports indicate more ships are arriving every hour. Within days, they could have over 1,000 vessels. At that point, our chances dropped to near zero. Secretary of State Nancy Clark had been quiet during the military briefing, but now she leaned forward. Perhaps we should consider negotiation. The aliens want our quantum computing technology and political integration. Those terms might be acceptable if they guarantee human survival. Frank Wilson shook his head immediately. Nancy, you heard what Intelligence Officer Walsh discovered. They plan to eliminate us regardless of whether we surrender. This is not about negotiation anymore. The conference room door opened and Dr. Helen Martinez entered, followed by Commander Jake Sullivan. Both looked exhausted, but carried themselves with the urgency of people who had important information to share. President Torres, Helen began, we need to discuss the gateway sealing option. The room fell silent. Everyone had heard rumors about the possibility, but no one had seriously considered it until now. The idea of permanently cutting Earth off from the galaxy seemed like admitting defeat. Dr. Alex Cooper entered behind them carrying data modules and portable display equipment. His team had been working around the clock to understand the technical requirements for sealing the gateway. The process is theoretically possible, but incredibly dangerous. He activated holographic displays showing the gateway's energy matrix. Complex mathematical equations filled the air as he explained the procedure. Sealing the gateway requires inverting the dimensional field that keeps the passage open. We would need to link every quantum computer on Earth to the gateway's control system simultaneously. What are the risks? President Torres asked. If we make any mistake, the gateway could explode with the force of several nuclear weapons. Gateway. Prime would be destroyed instantly, and the energy release could damage Earth's orbital infrastructure. General Taylor studied the technical data. What about the alien fleet? What happens to them if we seal the gateway? They would be trapped on our side of the dimensional divide, Alex explained. The gateway is their only way home. Without it, they become stranded in our solar system. Nancy Clark looked confused. How does that help us? They would still have hundreds of ships and enough firepower to destroy Earth. Helen stepped forward with additional data. The sealing process creates more than just a barrier. It fundamentally alters space-time around the gateway location. The energy release would create gravitational anomalies that could disable or destroy ships caught in the effect zone. Ryan Brooks leaned back in his chair. You are talking about using the gateway as a weapon against the alien fleet. Not exactly a weapon, Alex said carefully. More like a dimensional trap. The sealing process would pull everything near the gateway into compressed space-time. Ships caught in the effect would be crushed or transported to random locations across the galaxy. President Torres looked around the table at her advisors. And Earth would be safe. Earth would be isolated, Helen corrected. The sealing process is permanent. Once we close the gateway, we can never reopen it. Humanity would be cut off from galactic civilization forever. The weight of that statement settled over the room. 50 years of contact with alien civilizations would end. All the knowledge and technology shared by the Confederation would be lost. Earth would be alone in the universe again. Frank Wilson was the first to break the silence. Is isolation really worse than extinction? That depends on your perspective, Nancy Clark replied. Isolation means humanity survives, but we lose our place in the larger galactic community. We would be giving up any chance of peaceful coexistence with other species. General Taylor pulled up intelligence reports on his tablet. According to Agent Walsh, the Confederation has no interest in peaceful coexistence. They view us as a threat to be eliminated. There is no middle ground. Commander Sullivan had been listening quietly, but now he spoke up. We are receiving new communications from the alien fleet. They are accelerating their timeline. He activated his portable communication device and alien. Voices filled the room. The translation system converted their speech quickly. Human defensive preparations exceed projections. Recommend immediate implementation of containment protocol. Containment protocol approved. Begin bombardment in 36 hours. Sterilization must be complete before human technology advances further. The communication ended, leaving the conference room in stunned silence. The aliens had moved up their timeline by more than a day. Humanity now had less than 36 hours to make the most important decision in human history. President Torres stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of Washington, D.C., where millions of people went about their lives unaware that their existence hung in the balance. Children played in parks, families ate dinner together, students studied for exams that might never happen. "Dr. Martinez," she said without turning around, "how long would the sealing process take?" "Approximately 12 hours to link all quantum systems and run the calculations. The actual sealing would happen in seconds, but the preparation time cannot be reduced." "And our chances of success?" Helen hesitated before answering. "We have run computer simulations, but this has never been attempted before. Best estimate is 70% chance of successful sealing, but there is a 10% chance the process destroys the gateway entirely, leaving us defenseless." Ryan Brooks pulled up defensive scenarios on his tablet. "If we fail at sealing the gateway, our position becomes hopeless. The aliens would know we tried to trap them, and they would show no mercy." "They plan to show no mercy anyway," Frank Wilson pointed out. "At least sealing gives us a chance, Nancy." Clark remained unconvinced. "We would be condemning future generations to isolation. No contact with other species, no access to galactic knowledge or technology, no exploration beyond our solar system. Future generations that will not exist if we do nothing," General Taylor replied harshly. President Torres turned back to face the room. The decision was hers to make, and she knew that history would judge her choice. If she chose to fight and lost, then humanity would be extinct. If she chose to seal the gateway and succeeded, then humans would survive, but in isolation. Agent Katie Walsh entered the conference room carrying urgent intelligence reports. Her face was pale, and her hands shook as she distributed data to everyone at the table. "We have intercepted Confederation communications to other species."
"The aliens are using Earth as an example." She activated displays showing messages sent across the galactic network. Alien leaders were informing other species about the human threat and the need for decisive action. The message was clear. Any
species that develop technology beyond Confederation control would face the same fate as Earth. "They are not just planning to destroy us," Katie continued. "They are advertising our destruction as a warning to others. Earth's genocide will be used to keep other species in line for generations." Helen felt anger building in her chest. The Confederation was planning to use human extinction as a tool of terror. Millions of other species would live in fear, knowing what happened to the humans who dared to advance too quickly. President Torres looked around the table one final time. "We have heard all the options and all the arguments. The alien fleet will begin bombardment in 36 hours. If we are going to seal the gateway, we need to start preparations immediately." She took a deep breath and made the decision that would determine humanity's future. "We seal the gateway. We choose survival in isolation over extinction under Confederation rule." The room erupted in activity as everyone began implementing the plan. General Taylor coordinated with military units around the world. Nancy Clark prepared emergency broadcasts to inform the global population. Ryan Brooks began evacuating personnel from Gateway Prime. Dr. Martinez and Dr. Cooper gathered their research teams to begin the most complex technological operation in human history. They had 36 hours to link every quantum computer on Earth to alien technology and perform calculations that had never been attempted. Dr. Alex Cooper stood in the main control center of Gateway Prime, watching hundreds of technicians prepare for the most dangerous operation in human history. Every quantum computer on Earth was being linked to the Gateway's control systems in a process that had never been attempted before. One mistake could destroy everything they were trying to protect. The evacuation of Gateway Prime was nearly complete. Only essential personnel remained on the station, and even they would be moved to shielded areas before the sealing began. Engineer Lisa Parker coordinated the final system connections while Dr. Helen Martinez monitored the Gateway's energy patterns from her workstation. "Connection status report," Alex called out across the control center. "North American Quantum Network, online," came a voice from one workstation. "European systems connected and stable," reported another technician. "Asian network showing full integration," added a third voice. Lisa looked up from her displays showing global connection status. Dr. Cooper, we have achieved 97% integration of all quantum systems worldwide. The remaining 3% are older systems that cannot handle the interface requirements. Alex nodded. 97% would have to be enough. They could not delay the sealing process any longer. Intelligence reports showed the alien fleet was already charging weapon systems for their planned bombardment. Colonel Maria Santos entered the control center carrying the latest tactical updates. Her face was grim as she approached Alex and Helen. The alien fleet has moved into final attack positions. Long-range sensors show weapons charging across all vessels. How much time do we have? Helen asked. 6 hours at most, possibly less if they detect what we are doing here. Dr. Carl Jensen looked up from his workstation where he had been monitoring the gateway's quantum field fluctuations. The aliens are definitely noticing something. The gateway energy patterns are changing as we link more systems to the control matrix. On the main display screen, Ambassador Zexus Thara appeared demanding immediate communication with human leadership. The alien's forearms moved aggressively and its compound eyes reflected growing agitation. Humans, you are interfering with Confederation property. Cease all manipulation of the gateway immediately or face severe consequences. Alex ignored the alien's demands and focused on the technical readouts. The gateway's energy matrix was responding to human quantum computers in ways that surprised even him. The alien technology seemed almost eager to accept human control, as if it had been waiting for the right neural patterns to activate its full potential. Dr. Cooper, Lisa called out urgently. We are seeing massive energy buildup in the gateway's core systems. Power levels are climbing beyond anything in our previous measurements. The gateway itself began to glow brighter as more quantum computers linked to its network. The strange metal ring that had floated peacefully near Jupiter for 50 years now pulsed with increasing energy. Space around the gateway shimmered as dimensional fields strengthened. Admiral Kevin Hayes appeared on communication screens from Earth's Orbital Defense Command. Dr. Cooper, our sensors are detecting gravitational anomalies around the gateway. Whatever you are doing is affecting space-time itself. That is expected, Alex replied. The sealing process requires manipulating dimensional barriers. Some gravitational distortion is inevitable. On the alien fleet ships, klaxons began sounding as their sensors detected the energy buildup. Ambassador Zexthera's image became more agitated. Humans, you do not understand the forces you are manipulating. Stop this process immediately before you destroy yourselves. Helen looked at the alien on the screen with contempt. Zexthera, your species has underestimated humans for 50 years. We understand these forces better than you think. The ambassador's mechanical translator struggled to convey alien emotions, but Helen could hear fear in the artificial voice. The gateway technology is beyond human comprehension. You will cause a dimensional cascade that destroys your entire solar system. Perhaps, Alex said calmly. But we would rather risk destruction than accept slavery. The communication from Zexathara cut off abruptly as the alien fleet began emergency maneuvers. Their ships were detecting energy readings that exceeded anything in Confederation records. The humans were doing something impossible with technology that aliens had built but never fully understood. Lisa called out new readings from her workstation. Gateway power levels have reached critical thresholds. The dimensional field is beginning to invert. Time to point of no return, Alex asked. 17 minutes. After that, the sealing process cannot be stopped. Colonel Santos received an urgent communication from Earth's defense forces. The alien fleet is beginning bombardment preparations. Weapon systems are fully charged and targeting Earth's major population centers. Helen watched the tactical displays showing hundreds of alien ships preparing to fire. Each vessel carried enough destructive power to level entire cities. If the IDA sealing failed, Earth civilization would be wiped out within hours. All quantum computers report ready status, announced the lead technician. Global network integration complete. Alex took a deep breath and placed his hand on the final activation control. 50 years of human contact with galactic civilization was about to end. Earth would be alone again, but hopefully alive. Initiate sealing sequence. The gateway's glow intensified dramatically as every quantum computer on Earth sent their processing power through dimensional space. The alien technology responded by drawing energy from quantum fluctuations throughout the solar system. Space itself began to bend around the gateway as reality became malleable. Energy cascade initiated, Lisa reported. Dimensional barriers are collapsing in controlled sequence. The alien fleet detected the massive energy surge and began emergency retreat procedures. But the gravitational anomalies around the gateway made normal movement impossible. Space was folding in on itself, creating a dimensional trap that caught everything within a vast area. Ambassador Zexthera appeared one final time on human communication channels. "Humans, what have you done? The gateway network is destabilizing across the entire galaxy." "We chose freedom," Helen replied simply. The sealing process entered its final phase as the gateway's energy matrix reached levels that strained the laws of physics. The metal ring began contracting while simultaneously expanding into higher dimensions. Alien ships caught in the gravitational field were pulled toward the gateway regardless of their engine power. "Confederation fleet is trapped in the dimensional effect," Colonel Santos reported. "Their ships cannot escape the gravitational anomalies." Alex watched his displays as the gateway consumed enormous amounts of energy. While reshaping space around itself, the alien ships were being compressed by forces beyond their technology's ability to resist. Some vessels simply vanished as they were transported to random locations across the galaxy. "Sealing process at 90% completion," Lisa announced. "Dimensional barriers stabilizing in closed configuration." The gateway itself was changing shape as it sealed. What had been a perfect ring became a twisted knot of exotic matter that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The passage to other worlds was closing forever, but the energy release was creating a protective barrier around Earth's entire solar system. Alien weapons fire began striking the dimensional field around the gateway, but the energy beams were absorbed and redirected into empty space. The Confederation's most powerful weapons were useless against the reality-warping effects of the sealing process. 100% completion, Alex announced. Gateway sealed successfully. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The gateway collapsed into a point of brilliant light that expanded outward in all directions. The alien fleet caught in the dimensional trap was pulled into compressed space-time and scattered across the galaxy. In seconds, hundreds of Confederation ships simply ceased to exist in local space. The protective barrier created by the sealing process expanded to encompass Earth's entire solar system. Any future alien attempts to approach Earth would encounter dimensional distortions that made normal space travel impossible. Humanity was now effectively invisible to the rest of the galaxy. Helen looked at the empty space where the gateway had existed for 50 years. The massive ring was gone, replaced by a region of twisted space that human sensors could barely detect. Earth was alone again, but Earth was safe. "Mission accomplished," Alex said quietly. "The gateway is sealed, and the alien threat has been eliminated, Colonel." Santos confirmed the tactical situation. "All alien ships have been displaced from local space. Earth orbit is clear of hostile forces." The control center erupted in cheers as the full success of the operation became clear. Humanity had faced extinction and chosen a desperate gamble that paid off. The sealing had worked perfectly, and Earth was now protected by dimensional barriers that no known technology could breach. But Helen felt no joy as she looked at the empty space where humanity's connection to the galaxy had existed. They had won their freedom, but at the cost of their place in galactic civilization. Earth was safe, but Earth was also truly alone for the first time in 50 years. The price of independence had been isolation, but the alternative had been extinction. As celebrations continued around her, Helen wondered what future generations would think of the choice they had made. 6 months after the sealing, Dr. Helen Martinez stood in the rebuilt observation deck of Gateway Prime, looking out at empty space where the alien gateway had once connected Earth to the galaxy. The massive ring was gone, but something new had taken its place. Human technology was growing in ways that surprised even the scientists who created it. The space around the former gateway location shimmered with energy fields that human sensors could barely understand. Dr. Alex Cooper had named the phenomenon the dimensional bubble, and it had become humanity's greatest protection and greatest mystery. Nothing from outside the solar system could enter the bubble, and nothing from inside could leave unless humans specifically allowed it. Engineer Lisa. Parker approached Helen carrying data tablets full of technical readouts. Her face showed excitement mixed with disbelief at what her teams had discovered. Dr. Martinez, you need to see the latest analysis of the bubble's properties. Lisa activated holographic displays, showing the energy patterns around Earth's solar system. The displays revealed structures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The sealing process did not just close the gateway, it fundamentally altered space-time around our entire solar system. In what way? Helen asked. We exist in a pocket dimension now. Earth is still in normal space, but we are shielded by barriers that make us invisible to conventional detection methods. Any alien ship that tries to approach our solar system will pass right through without ever knowing we are here. Helen studied the displays showing humanity's new situation. Earth was protected but also hidden from the rest of the galaxy. The Confederation could never find them again, but humans could never reach out to other species either. President Linda Torres entered the observation deck followed by her science advisors. 6 months in office dealing with the aftermath of the ETOL sealing had aged her visibly, but her voice remained strong and determined. Dr. Martinez, I need a status report on our technological development programs. Helen activated additional displays showing human research progress since the sealing. The bison results were remarkable even by the standards of the species that had impressed the Confederation with rapid advancement. President Torres' human technology has advanced more in the past 6 months than in the previous 5 years. How is that possible? Asked Vice President Frank Wilson. Dr. Carl Jensen joined the group carrying research data from his laboratory. The gateway's exotic matter did not disappear when we sealed the passage. It was converted into energy that now permeates our entire solar system. That energy enhances human cognitive function and accelerates technological development. President Torres looked intrigued. You are saying the sealing made humans smarter? Not exactly smarter, Carl replied. But human neural patterns interact with the dimensional energy in ways that improve problem-solving and creative thinking. We are advancing faster because our minds work more efficiently. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just survived the Confederation threat, but emerged stronger than before. The forced isolation was becoming an advantage rather than a limitation. Engineer Parker pulled up technical specifications for humanity's newest projects. We have successfully reverse-engineered the gateway technology and improved upon it. Our new dimensional drives can create temporary passages to specific locations without leaving permanent gateways. Helen felt excitement building as she realized what Lisa was describing. You mean we can travel to other star systems without the Confederation detecting us? Exactly. We can explore uninhabited systems or make contact with species that are not part of the Confederation. The dimensional drives leave no trace that alien sensors can follow. Admiral Kevin Hayes appeared on communication screens from Earth's orbital shipyards. Behind him, massive construction projects were visible as humanity built its first truly interstellar fleet. Dr. Martinez, our new ships are ready for testing. These vessels can travel between dimensions rather than through normal space. The ships Admiral Hayes showed them were unlike anything humans had built before. Sleek and elegant, they seemed to bend light around their hulls in ways that hurt to look at directly. The dimensional drives at their core used principles that the Confederation had never discovered. When can we begin exploration missions? President Torres asked. Captain Steve Morrison has volunteered to lead the first expedition, Admiral Hayes replied. His ship can depart within the week if you give authorization. Helen looked out at the space where the gateway had been and thought about humanity's journey. 50 years ago, Earth had been contacted by aliens who seemed infinitely advanced. Now humans were developing technology that exceeded anything the Confederation possessed. Dr. Cooper entered the observation deck carrying data modules from his research team. President Torres, we have detected something that you need to know about. We are receiving signals from other solar systems. He connected his equipment to the main displays and new patterns appeared, signals that seemed to come from across dimensional space rather than normal radio transmissions. These are not Confederation communications. They appear to be from species that have also chosen isolation over submission. The room fell silent, as everyone absorbed this information. Earth was not the only world that had defied the Confederation. Other species had made similar choices and survived in their own dimensional bubbles. Agent Katie Walsh, who had been monitoring all communications since the sealing entered with additional intelligence. The signals appear to be a form of dimensional networking. Species in isolation are finding ways to communicate without alerting the Confederation. Helen felt hope building in her chest. Humanity was not truly alone after all. Other species had chosen freedom over security and survived to build something new. Can we communicate with them? We are already trying, Dr. Cooper replied. Our quantum computers can generate dimensional signals that reach across space without using normal electromagnetic radiation. We could potentially coordinate with other isolated species. President Torres looked around the observation deck at all the progress humanity had made since the sealing. Dr. Martinez, 6 months ago we faced extinction or slavery. Now we have technology the Confederation cannot match, and potential allies they do not know about. The Confederation made a critical error, Helen replied. They assumed that isolating species like humans would weaken us. Instead, it forced us to develop capabilities they never imagined possible. Engineer Parker pulled up designs for humanity's next generation of ships and technology. Within a year, we will have vessels capable of establishing permanent settlements in other dimensions. We could build a civilization that exists between normal space and dimensional space. The scope of human potential was becoming clear. The sealing had not trapped humanity in one solar system, but opened access to infinite possibilities across multiple dimensions. While the Confederation struggled to maintain control over their limited galactic territory, humans were preparing to explore realms beyond their comprehension. Captain Morrison appeared on communication channels from his ship now stationed at the edge of the dimensional bubble. Dr. Martinez, President Torres, we are ready to begin humanity's first interdimensional expedition. My ship can phase into alternate dimensional space and explore regions no Confederation vessel has ever reached. Helen looked at the captain on the screen and felt pride in what humanity had accomplished. Captain Morrison, you have authorization to proceed. Explore carefully and remember that you represent all of humanity in whatever you find out there. The captain's ship began to shimmer as its dimensional drives activated. The vessel seemed to become translucent before vanishing entirely from normal space. It had entered the space between dimensions where distance and time followed different rules. President Torres addressed everyone on the observation deck. 6 months ago, the Confederation forced us to choose between submission and isolation. They believed isolation would weaken us and make us irrelevant to galactic affairs. She paused and looked out at the space where humanity's greatest gamble had paid off. Instead, we have become something they never expected. A free human civilization with technology they cannot understand and capabilities they cannot predict. Dr. Martinez watched the energy patterns around the former Gateway location and thought about the future. The Confederation still controlled their portion of the galaxy, believing they had eliminated the human threat. They had no idea that humanity was preparing to become something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Somewhere in dimensional space, Captain Morrison was beginning humanity's exploration of infinite possibilities. On Earth, scientists were developing technology that pushed the boundaries of physics itself. And across the galaxy, other isolated species were building their own versions of freedom. The Confederation had tried to maintain galactic order by eliminating threats before they became dangerous, but they had underestimated the power of species that chose liberty over security. Now humanity and its potential allies were preparing to show the galaxy what true freedom could accomplish. Helen smiled as she watched the dimensional energy patterns that protected Earth. The sealing had ended humanity's childhood as a galactic species. Now humans were ready to take their place as something the Confederation had never encountered before.